all. Thank you for joining us today on a Sunday morning. I know how precious it is. Good morning, Viva. So today is World Food Day. So what is World Food Day and why do we celebrate this and why we are doing this event? So World Food Day was initiated way back in 1945 and this day is celebrated on 16th of October across the world. Entire globe celebrates this. There is a reason for this. The reason is there is hunger all around. Everybody is not full of resources. There is lack of resources. There are countries which are dying because of hunger, because of lack of food. Having said that, people who have food and who have the accessibility to eat all 3 meals a day, are they aware of the principles that they can use to retain their nutrition and stay healthy? That still remains a question mark. To address both the issues, one is to address the hunger and to provide the necessary resources to the people who are not accessible to, and secondly, creating an awareness to the people who have the access to resources but doesn't know how to make use of them. You know, that is the reason that we celebrate World Food Day across the globe. So, what do I mean by this? That we have access to resources, but we don't know how to make use of it. There are various nutrients among the various food groups, and each of us are indulged into a lot of variety of foods and substances every day we take in. And everything has a food composition. Some are predominantly rich in carbohydrates, some are predominantly rich in proteins, fats, few are rich in vitamins and minerals, some are rich in fiber, but it's an amalgamation of all the nutrients that we call as a balanced diet, which is needed for the proper functioning of all of our body. So having said that, how are we actually taking a balanced diet? If we are taking in, are we sure that we are actually taking in all the nutrients that are as per the recommended dietary allowances? Still remains a question mark. Why? Because these nutrients are very, very sensitive, very, very, really sensitive. So the way we prepare, the way we cook, the way we reheat, the way we serve, the way we eat, there's various stages which decides the fate of the retention of all these nutrients in our diet. Do you all agree, guys? In spite of eating so well, why do we have deficiencies of all the micronutrients around? Use the chat box, guys, and type in the chat box and let me know what your thoughts too. In spite of eating a rich diet, in spite of eating whatever is really claimed good, why do we have iron deficiencies around? Why do we have B12 deficiencies, vitamin B12 deficiencies, vitamin D deficiencies, calcium deficiencies? You name anything, people are lacking in that. Why? What is the reason for that? So this calls for action that we have to rethink on our practices, what we are doing in, recheck, and if the corrections are needed, then it is going to help us in making oneself better by eating a right nutritious food. So that's the theme for today. So I'll quickly share my presentation. And guys, this is going to be an interactive session. I want you all to use the chat box. And whenever you have a probing question or something related to what we are discussing, do drop in a question in the chat box. We will take then and there because it is all based on the responses that you have given to us through the questionnaire that we have shared last 4 days. Team, can you view this? Can someone confirm?
It's visible, ma'am.
Thank you. So we again welcome you all, one and all, to for the event to know how well our nutrition is all about. So we have asked a set of questions to you all, and it's interesting. We have got quite a good answers, and I would like to discuss on them. So the first question that we have asked you all is, which of this is the following is a good option? If you have observed the list of grains that we have included, it's basically all the kinds of whole grains. You take it from brown rice, white rice to oats and wheat and ragi, jowar, millets, everything. Why everything is grouped at one place? This is the first question to understand. This is because all all the grains, basically we call them cereals, they are predominantly carbohydrate rich, be it brown rice or oats or wheat or ragi or jowar or millet. So you take anything, everything has at least 80% is carbs. Then why people think millets are better? Why few people think oats are better? Why some think jowar or ragi is better? It's because of the other combination of nutrients it has. Say, for example, take oats. Oats to consume, to get it to a stage where humans are eligible to consume, it goes through 8 stages of processing. Oats are meant to eat for cattle feed, and we are eating that. And it's not even produced in India. So that is a fact. It is rich in fiber, but to make it edible, it goes through 8 stages of processing. It's highly processed. And if you take ragi, it is rich in iron and calcium, but it is meant for people who live in the drought regions where there is lack of water. You know, so there is a reason geographically, demographically, and locally. It is meant. Nature has gifted us certain things which are helpful to the people who live in that particular region. Having said that, all are good. There is no competition here as humans have. So if you look at the responses, I'm happy to have them that most of them said almost we have got 170 responses overall. Majority, 125% said all of them are equally good, which is a very promising answer for me to see because I've never seen this kind of answer in my 2 decades of practice. So I'm very, very glad that I got this response. You all are absolutely right, guys. All these nutrients, all the grains are equally good, provided you take it in the right way. So please don't surface one over the other, and don't put the name tags. All are good, but it depends on the person's taste, preferences, and health conditions and their area of living that one can decide on this. So the second question, guys, I'm not viewing the chat box. If there is something, please let me know, because presenting the screen, I won't be able to read the chat.
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah. So the second question that we asked is, how many times do you wash rice? Why do you think I have asked this question? Use your chat box, guys. Why is this question so important? And what is the reason behind? Guys, if you all be active and respond, you are getting a chance to talk to each other. You don't get this every day. And you can know your knowledge better so that you can improve your nutrition better. So come on, guys. Why this question is asked? Any idea? Okay, the answer is 2 times. Someone is saying, Lakshmi is saying 2 times. See, we get wheat flour from market. We don't wash it. We directly make atta. We don't wash ragi. We don't wash any other grain. Why do we wash rice? Interesting thought. Because it is polished. If it is polished, we should wash it, Viba. Okay, because of milling to remove dirt, Akriti says. Okay, to some extent, yes. There, see, paddy is something which is grown in the soil filled with water. But when we take off the grain, yeah, some kind of dirt will be there. But for that, it is important to really wash the grain. I totally agree. But for that, rinsing hard the grain actually does more harm than removing the dirt. What is happening is all this brown rice or white rice or semi-polished rice, whatever be the kind of rice, the outer coat has all the important nutrients that are most essential, the B complex vitamins basically. And when we rub the rice and wash it too many times, we are losing all this essential nutrients, and everything is going into the water because they all are water soluble. And when we throw the water, whatever minimum layer of vitamins are remaining, they are also lost. So it's not a dirt, we are losing the nutrition over there. So if you check out the responses, 50%, 56% said they washed twice, and 13% said they wash once. Thank you to the 13%. You're doing the right practice. Just put water, make it, don't rub the rice and all. Just rinse it with your fingers and just throw the water and just start cooking it. That's more than enough. Especially if it is semi polished, they're half polished. You know, the grain is already exposed. When you soak it in water, someone said I soak it in water and then I cook it. It's good if you soak it in water, it improves the digestibility. But when you soak it in water, please don't throw that water again and don't reuse the new water. Whatever water you're soaking in, keep cook the rice in the same water. So it's what I hope you all got the message. It's not good to wash it too many times. Rinse it well without rubbing. If you want, you can soak it, and you can cook the rice in the same soaked water so that you can retain whatever nutrients they are remaining, provided you are using a brown rice or semi-polished rice. If it is white rice, anyways, there is nothing much to bother because there is nothing left in it. Okay, Kiranmai says, many people eat polished rice for further satisfaction. So many nutrients are coming outside. That is true. To remove insecticides, they are not okay. Nowadays, organic farming has really improved, and I don't think there is. And even if we use some pesticides and fertilizers after the grain is dried, sun dried, and air dried, I don't think the residues will be that long. Okay, Viva says we use polished parboiled rice. It's good, Viva, because parboiled rice has one advantage. Parboiled is nothing but that mota rice which we use it for idli and dosa also. This rice is a kind of polished, processed, wherein the rice is soaked with husk. When we soak rice with husk, whatever the nutrients are there in the outer layer, they actually go inside the grain. Then after that, they just remove the husk. You know, this way, at least some kind of nutrition is retained in the parboiled rice. So the Keralates and all, whoever uses this parboiled rice, is a good option. So rest of you all, if you can't use the parboiled rice, people who got used to this Sona Masuri and Poni rice, at least try to use this parboiled rice for your idli and dosa preparation. That's one good option you can definitely consider. Okay, so we'll go to the next question. So, okay, I think this is the most interesting question for you all, is it not? Draining water from cooked rice removes all the starch. What do you all say, guys? So 59.9%, more than half of the room said yes to this. And 26% said no, 87% said we don't know. So does it actually remove? Use the chat box, guys. Come be interactive. Will it really help you to remove the extra starch and help you to lose weight? Because there are so many people who come to us and say, we don't want to retain the water because it goes off with the starch and it helps in weight loss. But in reality, there are so many studies. If you all check, what do they do with the discard? I usually ask people, okay, you're discarding that rice. What do you do with that? Okay, that is very enriched, ma'am. That we use it for hair. That's a very good reason for my hair growth. That is very good for we use it as the external broths, soups, and others. We boil vegetable in it. So my question to you all is, if you are removing water from the rice that is being cooked, thinking that it will remove all the starch, and if you use it in some other preparation, and if you claim that is really, really useful for something else, what is the inference here? We are throwing out, when I said washing rice itself, we are removing all the vitamins that are there. Think about the boiling here. All B complex vitamins are water soluble, and all grains, especially rice, is rich in B complex. When you boil and discard that water, especially the semi-polished and brown rice using people, whatever nutrients are there, you're discarding everything through that water. And we are just losing our nourishment. And how much? Very, very minimal. That's not even accountable. So it's not a good practice to drain the water. However, less sticky the rice grains may be while eating, that's not a point of concern. Rice is rice, end of the day. That we eat with the rest all things together, that's what becomes a meal. But if we throw out everything that is there through our practices, and if we keep blaming that rice is bad, how genuine and how fair are we? Do you all get the point? So whoever has this practice of draining water from half-cooked rice, let's not do that. Put only the amount of water that is needed to cook, whether you're cooking in the open vessel or in the pressure cooker. Anything is all right. It doesn't actually lose much starch, even if you cook in pressure cooker. Padmanabha sir is asking, like, if I use pressure cooker, no starch is going out. No, nothing will go anywhere because it's all closed and compact, and we are putting the necessary amount of water, and we are not draining out the water. So, guys, I hope you got a take-home message. If you can, whatever is remaining, please use the right practice. So we spoke a lot about vegetables, guys. Sorry, rice, guys. Then we are shifting to the other topics of vegetables. So we asked you a question like vegetable. Choose your way of chopping your vegetables. So I asked you, do you wash first and cut later and cook it sometime later, or do you cut and wash and cook? Surprisingly, almost 80% said they wash the vegetables first, they cook, and then they cut and then they cook. If we see the practices around, there are so many people who don't wash vegetables. First of all, I want to tell you one funny incident. Like, once I went to a friend's home, bendy from the refrigerator, and she's wiping with a cloth. Then I asked her, why are you not washing them? Because which, as rice, as vegetables do have lot of dirt and lot of stuff around. It comes from the soil. Then she said, no, if we wash it, it doesn't taste good. I was awestruck there. Then I started analyzing, why is it so? You know, most of the times when uh, especially vegetables like lady's finger, bendy and all, if you chop them when they are wet, they all become more sticky and greasy. And that really impacts the way you cook the vegetable. So the tip here could have been like you wash it and make it sun dry, and then chop it later so that the stickiness will not come. No, there is a solution for that. But not washing the vegetable at all might not be a good solution. And I have seen so many people actually chopping the vegetables and then cutting them. So what will happen when we do this? Are you all aware? Because even if you don't do, if you know the reason, if someone else is doing, you become a warrior in telling them and helping them in retaining their nutrition. So why we should not cut and wash. Use the chat box, guys. Okay, Fatima says leaching of all minerals and vitamins. Anything else? Okay, Fatima, you're absolutely right. Because all the greens and vegetables and fruits, we all have this water soluble vitamins, mainly the B complex and vitamin C. And everything is water soluble vitamins. When everything is water soluble, the moment we say water soluble, the moment you chop and put them in the water, all vitamins and minerals will get leached out into that water, and you're rinsing that water is actually rinsing out all the vitamins and minerals. You know, by the time we do this, and by the time we cook, half of things are gone, and by the time it comes to the table, food is not hot, and we reheat, and by the time we eat, what is remaining there? So it's a question to be asked: how we can retain our nutrition? The best thing is to wash it first, dry it with a towel or something so that the things remain fresh. Then chop it just before cooking so that you have maximum nutrient retention. Browning and taste. What is this browning and taste, Fatima? I didn't get your response, but I'll come back to that point. So let's go to the next question of vegetables. Like, how do you chop your vegetables? Into your big chunks, or small cubes, or fine chop. Though the response is all into small cubes, I'm happy to see the response here. Um, I hope there are so many nutrition coaches also who answered this question. That's why there is an the graphical representation represents all most of the positivity around. Uh, but if you see around, genuinely check on yourself and your neighbors and the family and the friends. Most of them are into fine chop because they say that it cooks well. But again, guys, always remember when we are chopping to the finest form, the moment we chop, the vegetable is exposed to oxygen. The moment it is exposed to the air, all these nutrients are very, very highly reactive. They react with oxygen and they start, you know, changing their form. So, to avoid this, to have the maximum retention, the best practice is to cut the vegetables into how much larger piece that is possible and cooking them immediately. Both the things are important. Okay, fine chop, of course, it looks so good, but if you want to retain your nutrition, have a better health, definitely that's not a good choice. The big chunks, which the 14% of the people opted, is the right choice. So then comes a very interesting question. How do you cook green leafy vegetables? Do you cook with lid or do you cook without lid? So with lid, they said 27%, 72% said without lid. And what is the reason for that? If any of you who are there, who answered this questionnaire and would like to put your points, use the chat box, guys. Because if we understand your thoughts, we will be able to give a better reply to you, a better understanding and a better reasoning to you all. It helps us. So Viva says, yeah, I do cook with lid, but is there anyone with lid is good? Okay. The moment, see, green leafy vegetables are very, very highly, um, they're very high in the nutrient content, be it fiber or vitamins or minerals or anything, and they are very, very rich. Along with that, there are certain volatile acids also in it. So usually the way we read is when these volatile acids react with the other substances, certain things change the format. So the recommendation would be when you actually put the green leafy vegetables into the kadai or the cooking vessel, for a minute or so, leave it open till you actually stir it and mix it well. That 2 minutes is enough to actually for the volatile acids to escape. Then later, it is always good to put the lid and cook. Why? Because using a lid always creates some steam retains the nutrition, helps you to cook faster, and the more longer time we take to cook anything, the more nutrient loss will be there, because it's all application of heat and fire, you know. So the lesser cooking time it takes, the better will be the retention of the nutrition. So having said that, how do we lessen the time of cooking? If I keep tinda, dondakai we call it, in a vessel, it takes quite a long time to cook, and people prefer only to fry it. So it takes more than half an hour, 40 minutes, and by the time it is all charred, there is nothing left in it. There is no need to eat that also. But the same thing that if you can put little salt and cover it with a lid and cook it, that becomes something a really good nourishment for your body, because you're retaining your nutrition. So taste is important. Method of cooking is equally important. So these methods of cooking is what is lacking. People are running behind the diet plans and what to eat this and what gives us that, the limelight foods. But what about our basic practices at home? We're just missing on that. That's where we come in today. So cook your any vegetable, be it with a lid on, so that it decreases the cooking time and you have a greater retention of nutritive value. Sirisha, you want to say something?
No, ma'am. No, ma'am.
Okay.
So there are, on this note, there are two questions in the chat box.
Okay. Yeah.
One is palak and paneer shouldn't be taken together.
Mhm.
It would lead to stones. Is this true?
Okay.
Uh,
Is it good to cook vegetables in pressure cooker? Okay, two questions.
yes.
Yeah. When you said palak and paneer, I also remember palak and tomato. Many people say, okay, we don't want to eat these two things together, because it is said from the very beginning that, they all end up in kidney stones. So my question to you, okay, who asked this question? Okay, we don't have the name. So whoever might have asked this question, my question to you is, first check how many people are there in your family. Are there four or five? And out of the five people, how many uh, bunches of palak have you got? And out of that, if you use two bunches of palak for four people, by the time you cook it, it becomes one katori. And out of that, when you actually serve it to your plate, it is hardly 1 or 2 spoons. Out of that, that quantity itself is not sufficient for a person to actually nourish themselves from where the stones will form. Do you understand? So all these green leafy vegetables and all, they have definitely this oxalates and the calcium residues. That team kindly mute are there. But how much are we actually bringing in home? How much are we actually cooking? And what is the portions that you're actually eating? If a person is eating 3 to 4 bunches of palak every day, then I agree, yeah, it affects. If you are eating 2 bunches of palak for the entire family in a week's time, in weekly once, it doesn't even stand anywhere to the requirements. So it doesn't affect. So these things are important. It will affect, provided in which form you are taking, how much you are taking it, what part of the day you are taking. There's so many things, right? So these are not true. Enjoy, eat well. If possible, eat 3 to 4 green leafy vegetables per week. If you don't want to mix it, it's well and good. You can have it separately, but eating with a little quantities will not end up into kidney stones. There are a lot many things for that. Then there's a question from Sri Devi. Can we cook vegetables in pressure cooker? Yes, you can cook, Sri Devi, but provided there is something you might have known that 1 pot 1 shot is cook everything in pressure cooker at 1 shot. Put everything. Only the required amount of water you should add. That is very, very important. What happens is if you add more of water, pressure cook it, open it, and get to see there's lot of water again, you keep on cooking it till you drain out all the water. It makes no sense, because it is increasing the cooking time. If you want to cook vegetables in pressure cooker, it takes little time to understand. Follow this OPPO on one pot, one shot. OPOS. They have lots of videos and millions of followers there. You can follow their method of cooking. They'll give you quantities. They'll act, if you want to cook one bottle gourd in pressure cooker, you just need a small glass of water. If you understand the quantities and how much water you should put, and if you're able to master it, nothing better than that. You can happily cook your vegetables in pressure cooker, but please don't pressure cook and throw that water. The same thing, we are throwing our nourishment. Okay, ma'am, please repeat. Lost my connection. Viva, so sorry. I'll get back to you. Vijay Lakshmi says, when we cook Totakura Pulusu, we pressure cook till 5 whistles. Is it good? Not kindly. Let me know the better alternative for this. Yes, the same thing. That's okay to pressure cook. Green leafy vegetables doesn't need 5 whistles. They'll happily cook in 1 or 2 whistles also. They don't need that much cooking time, but don't throw the water. Put the sufficient amount of water that is needed to maintain your own consistency. Okay, we can cook in pressure cooker, preserve nutrients. Okay. Yeah, steamer is a good option, Padmanabha Garu. If you can steam vegetables, that's the best thing. Nothing can beat that. It's one of the best methods to follow because it has a maximum nutrient retention. So can we go to the next thing? I hope you all have answered. Yeah. Okay, this is also one of the most interesting questions to me. Like most of the brinjal and potato. Brinjal is the most common among South India, and potato is most common among North India. And these two vegetables, whenever people cook, they put it in water, let it remain in water for some time because they think, of course, browning reaction do happen. The vegetables do turn brown. That's the reason to avoid that people put these two vegetables in water. But is it helping us is the question. So 85% said yes, and I agree with you all because this is the most seen practice. And why are we talking about this? The same thing, guys. Browning, yes, it does happen. Browning is nothing but when the vegetable is cut, when it is exposed to air, the reaction of oxidation happens. And that's what makes that this is all changing the chemical nature of the vitamins and minerals, nothing but. To prevent that, we are putting in water. When we dip them in water, the vegetable pieces doesn't have the access to oxygen, air. So they are not turning brown. Good till then. But what later? When we put them in water, all the vitamins and minerals, since being water soluble, they all are dissolved and people happily squeeze the vegetable pieces and cook and throw the water. So what are we missing out here? Are we nourishing well? Think about it. So if you don't want to do this, I have a choice for that. The best thing for these kind of vegetables, especially potato and brinjal, is just chop right before the cooking. Put the pan on the stove, keep the oil, keep it ready. The moment you want to put in, just chop and put inside. You're eating your fresh food. You're not making it into browning. You're not losing the nutrients by putting them in water. There's the best practice that we can do so that, especially the potato peel, it has all essential nutrients. So people who eat potato more often eat it along with the peel. It is very, very thin and it has amazing nutrients. Sometimes I put lemon juice on it. Yes, well, good. You can do it. Definitely. But don't throw that water, guys. It's our sincere request to you all. Please take away this learning. Okay. Okay, the answers are contrastingly different here. Do you chop fruits and vegetables and store them for later? 79% said no. I'm so happy with the answers. I'm so happy to see the graph. 20% said yes. So whoever 20% they said yes. This is to you guys. Please don't do it. Always, if we want to retain the food, if we want to retain the nutrition from the food, the best thing is chop it just prior to cooking, and cook it and try to eat it as fresh as possible. Because this is very important these days. I know everybody is busy. But we all have 24 by 7 only. No one has more, no one has less. So what are we missing here? Is it a managing skills or is it a time management skills where we lack, that we are not able to retain and spend some time for ourselves to build up our own health? Is a question to be asked to each and everybody by yourself. Can I spare half an hour for myself? If yes, yes, you are in good hands, your own hands, to retain your own health. So chop it just before cooking is the message. Okay. So this question is for all non-vegetarians. I'm a vegetarian, guys, but still I'm going to talk about this because this is important. Though I don't do it, I know it. So many people, they say that non-veg food tastes better when we cook in a lot of oil. Plantains also, same Shokriya, plantains also. The best thing is cut it and right before the cooking and cook it. That's the best thing to retain nutrition. If the more we are using water and throwing that water, we are throwing all the vitamins and minerals. Simple. So if you don't want to throw, don't chop it before. Plantain is more volatile, more sensitive than brinjal and potato. So we have various methods of cooking plantain. Again, it's not only the fry that we make, right? So try to chop it just right before the cooking. So non-veg. There's a notion that all non-vegetarian dishes taste better when we cook in a lot of oil. So how true this is, and why are we discussing about this? The animal meat as such, be it anything, chicken or mutton or red meat or pork or anything, it's an animal meat. If we cut a piece of a hand or something, what is there under our skin? It's all fat. Similarly, the animal meats, when we check the interior parts, majority of them is fat. So it already has a lot of fat in it. And when the food is cooked, when the non-veg, the meat is cooked, the fat actually oozes out of the pieces and helps to become a medium. And that fat is more than sufficient for the food to be cooked in because it's already a lot. Along with that, if people keep on putting a lot of oil on top of it, and sometimes the oil will be visible on top of the dish in a red color. I hope many of you might have seen that scenario. So there is nothing harm going to happen to the meat pieces, definitely, but there is a greater harm to the human mankind because the recommendation for fat is only 3 teaspoons per day. It's only 15 grams. And the amount of fat we are eating is a hell lot. And because of the keto diets and the Veeramansineni diets and whatnot, all the kinds of the faulty diets has made to people drink even oils these days. And it has its own consequences, guys. Don't forget them. Because body has its own system running on a particular mechanism. If you alter it, body will sustain for a time. It will not show it up. But that might not remain the same for a longer time. And don't wait and spoil your health till you get to see the symptoms and where we cannot do anything kind of scenario. So the best way to cook non-veg is either you grill it if you have a good oven, or you steam it, or you boil it. Let's not fry it in oil because it has a lot of fat. So Kamalam says, I think even non-veg food with more oil tastes good. That's many people like fried curry, deep fried food. Absolutely. The same thing applies to vegetarians too, who cook their food, deep fry the food, and think that that tastes better. And you know the sensation of air fryers. Why air fryers have come? Since this practice is not helping them, the air fryers have come. People started frying with air. There is no oil in it. When vegetables can cook, why not meat? Okay, Sirisha, there is a question. We can use reheated or reuse same oil. Okay. So guys, this is also a very important question. Why do we say that don't eat on street food? Street food that deep fried and with that large kadais and full of oil dipped in, and people keep frying. And um, we often say, like, don't eat on, indulge too much on street food. There is one particular reason. The same reason is applicable to this question. When the large amount of oil is used for deep frying, they don't change the oil every day. The same oil is being used repeatedly to cook the food. When this mechanism happens, in the chemical composition of oils and fats, everything is a chemistry, it's a food chemistry. There are substances which are called trans fatty acids. These trans fatty acids are produced when we heat the oil repeatedly and we reuse the water. And these trans fatty acids are very, very harmful. They are one of the major reasons for all the clogging and heart diseases. So it's not a good practice. So to address that issue, we keep saying that don't eat too much of street food. But this thing applies to your household thing also. So the tip would be use how much ever of oil you want. Suppose if you're frying puris, take a little bit of oil, make small puris, fry them, and try not to use the oil, reuse the oil. Even if you have to use that oil, try to use it for seasoning, not for frying. That way we can actually decrease the damage that we are doing to our body. I hope this is answered. Okay. This is my favorite question. Are almonds healthier than cashews? Are almonds healthier and cashews fattening? Okay. Do you know have the names of who asked this question? People all are behind almonds. People soak almonds, eat almonds, poor cashews. They're left behind.
We got it from our WhatsApp group, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, guys. One important point. Both almonds and cashews and pistachios, all the nuts, they come from plants only. When we get almonds from plants and cashews from plants, they both have equal amount of protein, more or less equal amount of healthy fat. It's just a notion that people carry that almonds are healthy and cashews are not, but in reality, both are equally good because no plant product gives you cholesterol. They give you healthy fat. Yeah, but that is very, very important that one will should eat in moderation, especially when it is nuts. Your fist is your measure. Keep your fist closed, one closed fist. In your closed fist, how many ever nuts come into your hand, that many you can happily eat. When I say they come from plants and they don't give you cholesterol, they have only healthy fats, and if you tend to eat 20 and 30 every day, no one can help. So they are good. They don't give us the cholesterol because it's a plant food. The next week topic is cholesterol. We are going to talk more on this again. But for you to eat cashews or almonds happily, heartfully, eat one closed fistful of any of these. Yeah, most of them they soak almonds overnight to remove skin and then taken. Uh, Actually, when you soak, there are two advantages. The outer layer of almonds, they have something called phytates. These phytates are not nutrients, they are called non-nutritional factors. When these non-nutritional factors are there, the phytates are there even in vegetables. Even all green leafy vegetables have phytates. There are so many food products which have the phytates. But these nutritional factors, they hinder with the absorption of the actual nutrients. So when we soak and remove the skin of the almonds, it's one way it's all right because we are removing the phytates. And the second way, when you soak, the digestibility of these nuts increases tremendously. So these are definitely good for children and elderly people when they cannot digest so good food. If you soak it and give them, if you're actually helping them in retaining the nutritional value as well as their digestive capacity. So you can definitely do that. So I hope we can go to the next question. We are running short of time. Is it applicable to dals too? That's a direct question to me. Soaking? Yeah. Dal, especially, see, many people, especially the tuvar dal, the moong dal, or lobia, or chole, or rajma, be it anything. See, when we soak the dals in water, they are easy to cook. What it means if they're easy to cook, they're not only easy to cook, they're also easy to digest because the digestibility of all these things increases. And when we soak and eat, even when the digestive capacity is better, they end up with getting lesser complications of flatulence, which is gas formation, bloating, and other stuff. So if people who cannot eat dals and all because of this problem, probably try this method. You can soak your protein or dals or legumes in water overnight and then try to cook it because it really helps you in soothing this problem. How good is to take vegan milk or curd from nuts? Okay, I'll take this question by the end of the session. Sudhir. It's interesting question. Just let's finish this little bit of topic. This is offbeat, but I will definitely talk about it. So the next question is, do you reheat food? So 58% said yes, 49% said no. Yeah, when we reheat food, the same thing, guys. Okay, we all are busy. Definitely, I agree. Most of the times, people don't even cook food. They don't have time. So they just get hold of Swiggy or Zomato and finish their meal. These are the days we are living in. So definitely, rather than indulging on the outside food, if you can cook your meal one time and if you can help yourself eat it twice, it's better than eating the outside food. That is one story, one side story. The other side story is when we reheat the food, obviously, whatever nutrients, they're all heat susceptible. The more we heat it, the more we lose uh, the nutritive value. So the thing is, suppose if you have substances like sambar or rasam, they're all liquids. So reheating these kind of things doesn't actually matter. If it is a gravy sabji, which is semi-solid, there is a liquid in it. Put a little of water and then reheat it with the lid on. Then you're just warming the food. We are not recooking. Till that point, it's all right. But reheating uh, the already fried stuff, the dried stuff, too much of dry heat cooking definitely spoils the food, chars the food, changes the taste of the food. So definitely not recommended. But taking the considerations of the problems people are going through these days, I would definitely suggest reheat in a better way so that you eat better than eating outside. Okay, what do you do with boiled vegetables? 54% said they reuse the water, 45% said they throw the water. So this is for all the people who throw the water. We already discussed a lot on this. I will not take much time, but guys, you're throwing all your nutritive value. Because when you boil the vegetables, they are all water soluble, all the vitamins and minerals are bleached out into the water. And when you throw the water, you're just lacking all the nutritive value and we are just eating for nothing. So remember, don't throw the water, reuse it. Suppose if you boil some vegetable, I still don't recommend you to boil with water. Use a better method of cooking. But if you boil it, use that water in some liquid preparation like sambar or rasam or whatsoever, or you can make a soup, something out of it. But definitely don't throw it. It's not worth throwing. Okay, table salt. The last question in the questionnaire for today. So, do you sprinkle salt often? 85% said no. I'm so happy with you guys. You gave us so much of happiness, and 15% only said yes. It's so nice, guys, because this is very, very important. Why? Because foods naturally have sodium. All the foods, all the foods naturally have sodium in them. And the amount of salt we are adding to the cooking to enhance taste itself is a lot because we don't need it. Whatever sodium that naturally is there in the foods is sufficient for the body to function. And to tell you guys, sodium is one of the 4 ions which is there in the blood: sodium, potassium, chloride, and calcium. These two are 2 anions and cations which maintain the pH balance. You know, if it goes down, we really lose our electrolyte balance, and it's not at all a good thing. Sodium is that important in our body. When it is that important, that's the reason we naturally getting it from the foods. But that is not sufficient for us because we don't get the taste out of it. So what do? We top it up with the cooking and we sprinkle salt to enhance the taste. Till then, it's also all right. Use it in moderation. But after that, also, if you bring on that salt to the table and keep on sprinkling, thinking that it is less, it is not sufficient, it is not okay for me, definitely not a good practice, because that becomes anything more than moderation. When it is not required, it becomes poison. And you know, the disadvantages having a lot of sodium with the hypertensive patients and the cardiovascular CVD patients, heart disease patients, is definitely not a thing to recommend. But I'm talking about the general public who we don't want you all to fall prey for all these things. So let's not use too much of salt. If you can be yourself with the amount of salt which is there in the food and naturally relish the original taste of the food, nothing best than that. Otherwise, put a little bit of salt. Okay, that is about the questionnaire that we shared. And now I'll take up the rest of the questions. And you can put them all in the chat box if you have more. Okay, the first question is from Sridevi Venapamala. How good is vegan milk or curd from nuts? Naturally, we have been indulged into using cow and buffalo milk from the very beginning, from thousands of years. Why this milk from the nuts have evolved? It is not that in India earlier, I still remember when I was in Europe for 10 years. This is way back in 2007. There also very rarely we used to get almond milk and rice milk and all in those days. Now it is very easily available everywhere. There is a reason for this. One is in those days, these are basically meant for people who have a disorder called lactose intolerance. So there is one particular kind of sugar, which is something like glucose, which is called lactose, that comes from milk. And people who lack the enzymes in their digestive system, which allows to digest the lactose, they are called lactose intolerant. And for those people, if they take milk, they cannot digest it. So it has so many ailments, so they cannot. But having said that, this is not for all. So for the lactose intolerant patients, all this nut milk and plant milk have all arrived. And why are we behind that? So it's a marketing gimmick for people who are marketing it, but who is falling prey for it? Here's my question to you all to think why you want to shift. Why cow's milk or buffalo milk? Because if you think they are pesticides and they are, drug induced, let me all tell you, India is not that ahead. The US market is. Dairy is drug induced there. It is officially there. But India is not. Europe is not. If that is the case, just thinking that it's all the same and applying and getting all the things that are happening to our place and avoiding the dairy will only harm us. Because in India, our FDA doesn't approve drug-induced dairy. It is still not on cards and it will never be. So the milk and from cows and buffaloes are very safe to have. And don't go for the plant foods because you don't need them. Unless otherwise it is a specific requirement for you. Why you want to spend a lot of money on that and drink that water, that milk which is not even tasty? I hope I answered you, Sridevi.
Ma'am, reheat in microwave is okay?
Microwave. It is handy, definitely. It's very easy, convenient. But how long you reheat? So microwaving is okay. See, if we keep on restricting things, leaving itself becomes a hassle. So my answer would be like, okay, if you are using a microwave, use it with an intention that it is not harming you at least. This is important. Yeah, see, all the nutrition months we have been telling you like how thought process and emotions and the thoughts are actually make a path for your health. Having said that, if we keep on thinking like this is bad, that is bad, definitely nothing is going to help us because that is our thought and it has to get integrated as your action. So there is nothing, there is always a range, guys. Nothing is too bad or nothing is too good. We live in a range of, options. Use it something which is feasible to you, but don't think that it is too bad. Nothing is worse. Use it in moderation.
Ma'am, is it right time to drink? Can we drink ragi ambali at night time?
Okay. If you're not eating your dinner, you can definitely drink ragi ambali at night because ragi is very, very rich. Many people they doesn't know ragi is healthy, but many what they do, they eat the breakfast at 11 o'clock. They eat the ragi malt. Okay, or they have ragi malt at the evening and they have their dinner again. Ragi has as much of carbohydrate as rice or wheat or jowar has. It is a cereal too. Because it has more of calcium and iron doesn't make it less of carbs. It has equally good amount of carbs too. So if you want to have ragi ambali for night, definitely that's a wonderful choice. But that should be the only choice. Don't eat and again rice or roti along with that. Yeah. Instead of dinner, you can have. Yeah. For dinner, you can have. This is your dinner. Okay. Do we have any more questions? Okay. Someone is asking, is it possible for you to share some recipes cooked in a healthy process, please? We still don't have a cookbook, sir. Definitely, if we have something, we'll definitely get back to you. Meanwhile, you can come up, use our chat, WhatsApp group, throw your questions there. We are always there to help you because we just doing this to create awareness. We just want to have people more healthier, be more healthier, be more nutritionally healthy naturally. So only for this purpose we are doing this. So you can just use a WhatsApp group and let us know if you have any query. We are there to help you out.
Ma'am, can you please share your points on using soy products, beans, chunks, quantity, and how often we can use it?
Okay, who asked this?
Kamalam.
Acha. Okay. So yeah. Okay. Before I take up this, there is okay. For the ragi ambali, for having dinner, try to have it between 7 and 8, Aruna, not later than that, because again it's a high carbohydrate food. And whatever, see, be it ragi or rice or roti or be it any food, try to have it by sunset time if possible. If not, have it by 7 o'clock at least, so that by the time you lie down on the bed, the food is digested and it really thanks you. Okay, the food will thank your body. So the timing is also equally important. Thank you, sir, for asking that. Okay, soya products. See, soya products. In the point of hormones and women perspective, is it Kamlam you're asking? Because it's more of a generalized question. If you ask in general, definitely you can have it. It doesn't harm anyone because soya is equally good. We don't tag anything good or bad. Everything is best provided we take it in the right way. But if you have more of hormonal issues, and definitely please drop me a message. We will talk in detail how it is related to that, and I can give you a better answer. In general, yes,
sure, Jyothi. Thank you. In general, I asked initially for
soya
Yeah,
chunks,
thank
soya
you,
beans
Jyothi.
happening. Yes. Okay, I think we are more or less done with the questions. Yes. Are there any? Or are we done?
We
I
are
think
done.
we are done. Okay. So that's all for today.
Just one question. This is Arna
Yes.
speaking.
Hi, Arunashri. Yeah, tell me, please.
Yes. Ma'am, is eating rice cooker in an electric rice cooker daily, is it good or bad for the health?
See, there is nothing that we can blame for the microwave or rice cooker or pressure cooker or anything. Nothing is bad. They're all have made our life so easy, is it not?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So the only point is retain the nutritive values. So we are not throwing the water away. That's one important point. And rice cooker, anyway, we don't do it. So if you don't have elderly people at home, if they can happy eating the dry rice, definitely yes, it's a good option.
Okay.
Use it. It doesn't harm.
Okay, okay. Ma'am. Thank you.
Yeah.
This is
So,
Sripada here.
yeah, Sripada. Hi.
Can we have, hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Fine, fine. Can we have a spinach in the night? Is that okay?
Yeah. Who's stopping
No,
us?
it's a good, no. Old esoteric, it is not a digestive. Digestive, it will not be good here.
Again, I'll stick back to the same point. How much spinach are we having? Are we having a basket full of spinach?
No, only small cup, like that's it.
Then happily you can have it. So it's a blessing if you can have green leafy vegetables twice a day, weekly 4 times. You're just
Okay.
blessing yourself with fabulous health.
Yeah,
Please have them.
sure.
And we have greater capacity to digest anything. When we can digest all the emotions and thoughts and the things that we are going through these days, if we can digest all the stress that we are going through, it's very easy to digest the food, guys.
Sure. Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah. So it was wonderful talking to you all, guys. So I hope you will.
Now, one question from my side. Vibha.
Yeah, Vibha.
Ma'am, for a lactose intolerance people, milk is difficult to digest. But if it's converted to other form like kheer or used in a dough, it's easily digestible. Can you put some light on this? I have a little confusion in this.
Okay, can you come again? If a lactose intolerance patient,
Milk
it's not
is
direct form of
difficult to
milk, maybe some other form of milk preparation is you're asking.
Yes, ma'am. The same milk is used in if a preparation of kheer or in a dough, it's easily digestible.
I don't think so because the lactose form remains the same.
Doctor also said like you can convert it into in the form of kheer, and I've seen that it's easily digestible.
Okay, see, it's always like what kind of intensity of lactose intolerance the person is having. First of all, check on that. Everybody might not have a greater extent. Some people, if something happens, they just relate to that, and actually, it might not have happened to that also. You know, most of the times, I'll tell you one incident which happened with us recently last week. My uncle, who is a heart patient, and the arteries of heart and brain both are clogged totally, and we just got home after the angiogram. Next day, there was a panic attack, and he fainted with a vomiting. And we absolutely related that to either a stroke or heart attack. For me, it's a cardiac arrest because he vomited and it was very panic. But when we rushed to the hospital, the MRI was normal, the ECG was normal. It is just an attack of anxiety. Most of the times, people might not have all these problems. Since there is information overload, people are going through a lot of stuff and people are implicating them to them, applying them. Does this happen to me? Will it happen to me? Okay, these are the symptoms. Do I have this? They relate and they're inviting trouble. Let me put it this way. Most of them, we are not a set of people. Say, for example, Indians are not prone to Down syndrome and all these things. But now the pregnancy scans have made it mandatory to check Down syndrome, where it doesn't happen. It doesn't exist among the Asian population. Why are they going for all these scans? It's as simple as that. Please take the information which is necessary for us. If a person is suffering, please see a doctor, get tested, take the right information and the right protocol for that particular person to treat. It is not applicable to everyone, especially conditions like lactose intolerance. We cannot do like these kind of sessions will not help him. You need a coach, you need a doctor to guide properly.
Sure, ma'am.
Okay,
Thank you,
Vibha?
ma'am.
So guys, it's 12:07. I think we have passed the time. I hope you all have got good inputs today on this World Food Day. I expect you all to change your practices, change your thought process, your perceptions towards food, make food as your medicine, and treat Annam as Parabrahma Swarupam, because food is the ultimate supremacy which can give you the better health, provided you eat with the right intention and the right thought and the right process. So I wish you all a great health ahead. See you all next week. Bye bye, one and all.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you all. Bye.
Yeah, thank you. Nirja, can we wind up the session?